Oh my goodness! Okay, Gum, I don't think we should try to mix pixie dust in with battery-operated toys anymore. Let's try to think of something else. Oh, for goodness sake, Bear! Oh, I can't believe what just happened out in the toy factory. Gum had the idea that we should maybe try to mix pixie dust in with some of those battery-operated toys to make them last longer, but that might not have been the best idea. How are you? Oh, another chapter. Okay, I'll try. Where's my glasses? Oh, for goodness sake. Oh, my goodness. Okay. Oh, we were on chapter 10, right? Okay. Let's see here. What happened? Oh, here we are. Chapter 10, The Deserted Elf. Here we go. One by one, our trio of escapees looked at each other. What do you mean he left? Snarky was pretty desperate. His plan had worked out pretty much the way he planned up to this point, but now it looked like they'd all be dog food if they couldn't get out of there in a big hurry.
He made a bunch of funny noises and then said something that sounded like, "Uh-oh," and then disappeared.
Disappeared? Wait a minute! Snarky started looking around and found the empty bag of pixie dust. Oh, for goodness sake! Did that lunatic bird eat all of my pixie dust?
He made lots of funny noises and flopped around like he might be dying, and then flew off to get pineapples,
Sassy said.
He made 2 trips, and then went to go get something called a taco.
I have no idea what you guys are talking about, but I am getting out of here, Magnolia said as he started running towards the woods. Thanks for the rescue, Snarky! Nice meeting you, Acorn! And then just like that, he was gone. Wait a minute! How am I supposed to get back to? But it was too late. Magnolia had disappeared into the trees. Snarky, what are we gonna do? Acorn looked to the troll desperately. I got no idea what you're gonna do, but I'm getting out of here. He turned to the fairy. Sassy, how's about giving Mommy a lift out of here?
Okay, Mommy!
Just like that, Sassy grabbed Snarky, zipped up into the sky. Acorn had just a second to wonder how strong that little fairy was, and then he realized that he was now all alone. The barking dogs were getting nearer, and he could see the flashlights of the guards searching for the escaped prisoner. Acorn looked around frantically for some place to hide. He spied the drain pipe they crawled into earlier and made a dive for it just as the dogs ran into the clearing. Acorn quickly squeezed through the bars and stepped back into the darkness. A huge dog came up to the pipe sniffing and then started barking. Tokaya! Sobaka! Quiet, dog! Acorn was able to understand the Russian guard. Elves are magically able to understand any language, as I may have mentioned before. Get away from that drain pipe! No prisoner could hide in a place so small. Acorn looked out through the end of the pipe and saw several pairs of boots walking back and forth in front of the pipe and around the clearing. The prisoner is trying to confuse the dogs. He must have shoved some clothing into the pipe to throw them off. The dogs and guards searched around the drain pipe for several minutes, and then Acorn heard, "Over here! I think we have the trail again!" It seemed like everyone ran off after the new trail. Acorn waited several more minutes and then carefully crawled out of the pipe. Gotcha! Said a huge voice as something dark came down over Acorn and pinned him to the ground. A huge hand reached under what seemed to be a hat that would have been pinning him down and grabbed Acorn around the waist. Marakenye, check them out. A little man. I would not have believed that if I had not seen it with my own eyes. The man was holding up a struggling Acorn and looking at him carefully. I'm not a man! I'm an elf! Acorn did not like being called a man, and he most certainly did not like being picked up as though he were a toy. Let me go, you big bully! 1,000 pardons, Mr. Elf. I will not be making the same mistake again. The guard, however, did not put Acorn down. My grandmother used to tell me stories about the little men. So, you are not one of them. Acorn wasn't interested in talking, he just wanted to be put down. He continued struggling with the guard's hand. What secrets can you tell me? Do you have a treasure nearby? Acorn couldn't believe this guy. He thought he was a leprechaun. Just then, Acorn heard the strangest sounds coming from overhead. Gah! Queeble, queeble, zipples, ah! That is everybody! I have green chili tacos from New Mexico! The Ooh-Bird was back. Ow! I'm over here! Help me! This giant is going to eat me! Acorn was waving madly at the bird. Al spied him and went into a power dive for the man's head. The Ooh-Bird landed on the guard's head and began pecking him. Zippy, hippy, flippy, gong! You not eat my friend Acorn! He shouted between pecks. The guard dropped Acorn and started trying to get the bird off his head. Acorn hit the ground running. When he was a good distance away, he turned back and called to Al. Hey, Al, let's get out of here! The Ooh-Bird seemed to be having the time of his life, pecking the guard. Zappo, wappo, bango! Nasty human! And with that, the Ooh-Bird took flight and soared over to Acorn and picked him up in his beak. Al, we have to find Magnolia! The guards and dogs are chasing him! Acorn shouted this over the wind. He's got to be around here somewhere! Al flew up to a treetop and found an empty nest and dropped Acorn in. Is a Magnolia good to eat? Gargle, gargle, heeple, glug! Magnolia is an elf like me. Please don't eat him. Acorn was looking closely at the bird. What's with all the nonsense words anyway? Jibble, jibble, honkle, weep! What nonsense words? The bird looked puzzled. Never mind. Help me find Magnolia. He's about my size and he'll have a bunch of guards and dogs chasing him. Acorn was looking over the edge of the nest to see if he could spot it. Over there! The Ooh-Bird took off like a shot in the direction Acorn pointed. The next thing he knew, he heard dogs yipping and yowling. Acorn thought he saw a few fly up over the treetops. What was that bird doing? Suddenly, guards were yelling and screaming. Acorn saw a big group of them come running towards his tree. For a moment, he was worried, but then they just kept running past his tree. Dag, dag, boo, boo, clip! Nasty, pecky guards, leave Magnolia alone! Glag, glag, whoopie zoop! You're gonna be my next snack after green chili tacos! The bird was a frightening sight to behold as he swooped rapidly from one guard's head to another, pecking furiously as he landed on each one. Acorn would not have believed that a bird could move so quickly had he not seen it for himself. Al, we need Magnolia, go get him! Acorn wasn't too concerned about the guards, but he needed Magnolia if he was going to get back to Santa. The bird let out a loud bleep and then turned around and headed back the way he'd come. A few seconds later, there was some rustling in the treetops, and then Al appeared carrying a struggling Magnolia in his beak. Let go of me, you confounded bird! Magnolia did not seem to be too happy to be caught in Al's mouth. Let go of me or I'll... Ah! Magnolia landed with a crash in the nest next to Acorn. You! Is that your bird? Well, sort of. I hired him for the evening, it seems. Acorn was glaring at Magnolia. What was the big idea with running off? I get you rescued, and then the first time things get rough, you run? Sorry, there was just no way I was going back to that gulag. Magnolia was looking a bit embarrassed now. What made you decide to rescue me, anyway? Snarky said you could help me find my way back to Santa's sleigh, Acorn said. What on earth were you doing in Santa's sleigh? You're so small you'd probably blow right out of the thing, Magnolia said as he was looking out of the nest. Hey, how do you plan to get us down from here? I don't. That is, not until you tell me how I can get back to the sleigh. Acorn was standing with his hands on his hips like he really meant business. I'm in no mood to be trifled with, and I have one angry bird who will turn you into a green chili taco as soon as look at you. So give. If I get you back to the sleigh, will you let me go my own way then? Magnolia was in no mood to give in too easily. Deal! Acorn stuck out his hand. Done, Magnolia shook. We're gonna have to ping it. Pink it? Acorn was looking pretty confused. No, silly. Ping it, not pink it. Magnolia was digging into the sack tied to his waist. He pulled out what looked like a small metal triangle. He held it up in the moonlight and then tapped it with his fingernail. Ping! The ringing seemed to get louder and then softer depending upon which direction Magnolia was facing it. Wow! Now what? Acorn was amazed at the volume of sound coming from such a small object. Now we start flying in that direction. Magnolia pointed in the direction that the triangle made the loudest noise. Hope that bird of yours is pretty fast. I used to ride one of the B-Team reindeer to catch Santa. Why did you ever need to do something like that? Acorn wondered. Sometimes boys and girls get their letters in a bit too late. Santa never wants to disappoint some child if he can help it. Magnolia was standing looking at Acorn with an expectant look. So, we gonna fly this bird or what? Hey, Al! The giant bird landed in a branch next to the nest. Flug, 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 hippie, hippie! You called? The bird was jittering in place on the branch. Can you take us where this pinger is pointing? Magnolia asked. The bird took one look at the small triangle and said, Goink, goink, shiggle-wee! And then gulped it down. The bird seemed to vibrate for a few seconds while Acorn and Magnolia stood there in shock. Yuck, yuck, yuck! Not the good green chili taco! He promptly spat the triangle out and bounced off Magnolia's head. The triangle fell to the bottom of the nest where it continued pinging. Al, can you follow the ping? It's how I get back to Santa's sleigh. Acorn was looking desperate now. Goog, wooble, booble, nooble, sure, just like looking for food, he replied. What's wrong with your bird? Magnolia asked as they were climbing onto Al's back. I think he ate too much pixie dust, Acorn replied over his shoulder. Better hang on tight. Too much what? Magnolia yelled as the bird took off at supersonic speed. The bird raced up into the clouds like a rocket on fire. Acorn's eyes were running with tears. The wind was so strong. Banks of cloud were racing past faster than Acorn could count. They were up so high that it seemed like the horizon was curving. Stars were starting to become brighter as the clouds thinned out to nothing. Acorn looked up in wonder at the moon against the night sky. The sky had more stars than he'd ever imagined. Then suddenly the bird went into a power dive. Acorn saw a moonlit sea coming up on them with towns dotting the shore. Red tiled roofs and a cold wind greeted them as they drew closer to the ground. As they were drawing closer to a large rooftop, Acorn could just see Santa's sleigh coming towards them at a terrific speed. Suddenly he felt Magnolia shift behind him and shout, Oh no! The shrinking powder must be wearing off! Suddenly Magnolia was back to his full size and now was much too big to be riding on an albatross's back. Everybody flipped upside down as Magnolia tumbled off the bird. Acorn was holding on for dear life as the whole group was now on a collision course for the sleigh. Oh my goodness, Bear! What do you think's gonna happen next? They're on a collision course for the sleigh. And Magnolia's gotten back to full size so the bird can't catch him. Oh my goodness. One mess after another. Speaking of messes, I better get back out to the toy factory and see if they've cleaned up the mess from that last experiment. Oh my goodness, no more pixie dust and electricity. That's a bad plan. Now you brush your teeth and go to bed, and you too. Good night. Hey, what are you guys doing?